I'm life and business coach Samantha Sifring, and this is the Online Business Building Mamas podcast, where you learn how to build a wildly successful business from home while raising kids. Hello, everybody. I am here with Erica Hanlon, my incredible client. Welcome, Erica.
Hello, happy to be here.
Thank you for being here. This is going to be so fun. So let's start off with you telling everybody a little bit about your story in your business, kind of like what brought you here.
Yeah, so I am a life coach with no niche. So yes, I am the general life coach. Although I'm finding that really the people I'm attracting are people who are a lot like me. They're very high achieving, type A personalities, like to get it right, like to do it well. And my background is actually in psychology. So I have a BA in psychology, and then I went on and got my master's in counseling psychology. And I was a practicing therapist for quite some time. And then I transitioned into corporate wellness, which was a pretty big detour. So I worked for a huge insurance company, and I wrote trainings on things like how to develop healthy habits and manage your stress and balance work and life. And I really missed working with people one-on-one. And so I started life coaching about 1.5 years ago, and here I am.
Let's tell people a little bit more about what you've done with No Niche financially in this business. I love that you called out the No Niche because a lot of people think, yeah, No Niche is good like for your first week, right?
Right.
You'll like sign like a client and then you'll get a niche based on that client maybe.
Yeah.
But you're like committed to the No Niche right now, which is so good. And how much have you made?
So I have made over $100,000, and I've made it in the last year, in the last 12 months. And most of it, I did the math the other day, 90,000 has been in the last 7 months.
90K, 7 months.
Mm-hmm. Who knew? You don't need a niche.
Yeah. Sounds like maybe you don't.
Although, I don't want to misrepresent my brain here because I still have niche trauma.
Okay.
In fact, earlier today, I was thinking, oh my gosh, everybody these days is coming to me for the same thing. Is this going to be my niche? Maybe I need to decide. Maybe I need to start talking about this more. My brain started to make an issue of it. It's not an issue though.
Did I start talking to you in your head in that moment?
A little bit. I had to channel you. I had to channel the conversations we've had on occasion about when my brain starts to create a problem when there isn't one.
Yeah. And I'm like, don't change anything. It's working.
It's all working. Stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Obviously, there's a time for a niche, but what I love is that you're such an example of 90K in 7 months. No niche. You are a life coach.
I am. I coached people today on, weight loss, career changes, fertility, relationships. I did. Yeah. And that was just today. So
fun.
Keeps it interesting.
So in addition to the 90K in 7 months, I also know from one of our recent mastermind check-ins that you did 20K. Was it in a month or was it under a month?
It was under a month, and I didn't even recognize it because it wasn't within sort of that calendar month. But you, thankfully, were tracking. So you called it out to me. I hadn't even noticed.
Yeah,
but it was amazing.
It was like 20K more from the first check-in to the second check-in. And I was like, whoa, that's amazing.
I know. And I think I've done another 15K maybe since then.
Look at you go.
So, yeah.
This is when I send you a message with the printer emoji and then the money emoji. Printing money.
Just printing the money.
All right. So we're here to talk about a little bit of the how of how you've done this and self-doubt being a big part of your story. Now, it's a big part of all of our story. You're not like my one client who has self doubt.
I'm the only one.
You're just the one who pitched me this topic. So let's talk about you applying to be on the podcast. And I don't think anybody knows because this is very new, but I created a new program in my mastermind where members of the mastermind can pitch ideas to me to be featured on the podcast. And what came up for you when you saw that? And what happened, I guess, in between that announcement I made and us being here now?
Well, the first thing I did is I wrote to you that I was extremely triggered by your invitation for us
Yeah.
to pitch something, because
Mhm.
the first thought my brain had was, I have nothing to say. And then I said, I have to go coach myself. I'll be right back. And you were like, yes, go coach yourself.
Yes.
So then I came back and I wrote down all of my just automatic thoughts, my unintentional thoughts, which were essentially all along the same lines. Like, I don't have anything valuable to say. I'm not an expert enough. Other people are smarter and more successful than I am. So just a lot of self-doubt and confusion. And then when I really started to question that, the new thoughts that came up were that I help people and I do that with my thoughts, and people pay thousands of dollars to hear my thoughts about things. And then when I asked myself, well, what am I an expert in? What can I, if I'm going to pitch an idea, what do I know? And I know that I have a brain that offers up a lot of trash
Mhm.
and it gets in the way, but I have still managed to make six figures with a brain that tells me things like I don't have anything to say, that I
Yeah.
have nothing valuable to add.
Yeah. I love that you took the thing that almost stopped you from applying and like turned that into the pitch.
Yeah.
This is the pitch.
Pitch is how to have a brain that is terrible and
Mhm.
still be successful.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about having a brain that's terrible because probably everybody listening has one of those brains. And it maybe until this moment thought that they were the unique only ones. And I know I've caught you in some of this too, thinking like, this is just me. So tell me a little more about that.
My brain, just left unattended, will just go straight into the garbage can. I was walking my dog and he wants to stop and smell anywhere any dog or animal or rabbit or whatever has ever gone to the bathroom. And he's very enthusiastic about it. So he wants to stay there. He wants to fully explore all of that. And I realize that's exactly what my brain does. It doesn't care. It doesn't care about, like, you know, the weather or how nice it is or smelling flowers. He's not interested in any of that. He wants to smell all of the stink. And that's just what my
Mhm.
brain automatically does. And
Yeah.
so my brain is always telling me, like, I don't know. I don't know how to do things. I'm messing up. It is very dramatic and it's always very negative.
Yeah. And here's what I've noticed because mine does this too. Like all of our brains just do this. It's what brains do, just like it's what dogs do.
Mm-hmm.
My brain is not very creative about the things that it says. And maybe you've noticed this too in therapy and in life coaching. But when I became a life coach, for the first couple years, the thing that stunned me most was like, all of our brains are telling us the same things. No
Mm-hmm.
one likes you. You're not good enough. You don't have anything unique to offer. You can't do it. Like all that stuff,
Yes.
all of our brains are saying it.
They're all saying it. And the other thing is, I don't think it goes away. You posted, there was something, was it the end of the year? It was one of the check-ins on the mastermind group
Mm-hmm.
page. And somebody, I don't, we're all like listing off what we'd made. And I don't remember who it was, but somebody called out that we were all having the same thoughts,
Yes.
regardless of how much money we'd made.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can make money, you can make, multiple six figures, $1 million, I'm sure. And your brain will still tell you that you have nothing valuable to offer. Nobody likes you. You're doing it wrong. You shouldn't have posted that post. Everybody hates it. Everybody hates you. Do you remember when I told you I thought everybody was talking about me? As soon as I was in a group call, and I got off, and my brain said, oh, you left the call. They're all talking about you and how terrible you are and how much they don't like you.
Did I just laugh?
Yes, you just laughed. It was so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But my brain believed it 100%.
Yeah. That is something that is so unique and valuable that we get to see as coaches, other people's brains, and it almost helps give perspective to our own brains. Like, oh, okay, all my clients have this issue. It's probably okay that I have it too.
Right. Yes. I love to hear them talk about it because I think, oh my God, it's normal. My brain's normal. Their brains are normal. It's okay. It doesn't have to be a problem.
Yes. So let's talk about how to deal with it. Because now everybody's like, okay, I guess this is normal.
Yeah.
What do we do with it?
So I'll tell you what doesn't work. What doesn't work is what I really did for years, which is try to be the person that people like and try to modify other people's thoughts about me and whatever success meant for them to make them happy.
Tell me an example of this. What did it look like?
Oh, okay. So this is an old example, but this sticks with me. So back in college, freshman year, I went to a small liberal arts college, very small Greek presence. And I rushed as a freshman. So I rushed as a freshman. I had the thought, I am not cut out for a sorority. I'm just not that person. But everybody else was doing it. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll do it. And I was extremely insecure. I was super insecure at 18. And so I went to these rush events and I was so awkward. I was so awkward because I was thinking, I need them to like me. I want them to like me. What do I do? What do I wear? How do I act? How do I stand? And because I was so in my head, I showed up to those events kind of, I'm sure, like a weirdo. And these girls were so nice and they all talked to me, but I did not make any friends. And then when it came day, like for us to get our bids, I had this experience of falling through. I don't know if other schools have that terminology.
So because I am heavily involved in sorority recruitment in my volunteer life, they have made changes since you went through what is now called recruitment and rush is dead.
Okay.
And falling through is largely not a thing because there's now a mathematical formula for determining all of these things.
Like an algorithm?
There's an algorithm for determining bids and all of that. And it is very fancy and complicated math that probably everybody listening is like, what in the world is Samantha involved in? But yes.
I love that. I'm so glad to hear that other girls do not have to have this trauma that I experienced where I did not get an offer from any sorority. And I had another friend who had the same experience. And so we cried together and then we went and did some comfort eating together. That was an experience that stuck with me about, oh my gosh, I'm such a failure. And it really, what it did was it reinforced all these thoughts I had about people don't like me. There's something wrong with me, blah, 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 blah. And, as I started really coaching myself, getting coached by you, and I started doing this work, I realized I never gave these girls an opportunity to like me because I never was me. I never showed up as me. So yes, they rejected this version of me that I presented to them, that I was trying to package and make so perfect. But that was, what they rejected was this watered down, modified, manipulative version of myself that I was trying to create just to make them happy. And I think 100% if I had shown up just as myself, then it would have had a different result.
I think so too. And I think that story is so powerful and an experience everybody has, or at least a lot, like probably every woman has in some area of her life. And I see a lot of women do it with business
Mm-hmm.
where they try to be what they think will sell or what they see other successful people doing instead of just being themselves. And then they're like, why is no one buying? I guess I'm just not cut out to be an entrepreneur, when really you haven't been yourself.
Right. Yeah. If they're not signing, it's not because there's something wrong with you, but are you really showing up as yourself? Are you accepting yourself? Are you sold on yourself? If you're not sold on yourself, it's hard to sell yourself to other people and sell your services to other people.
Yeah. So, how did you get sold on yourself? Because I know that is where everyone's mind is racing right now. Like, how do I
Oh,
do it?
I had to go looking for evidence. It had to be very deliberate. Um, because again, if just left to its own devices, my brain it will say nobody, it goes back. It goes back to that moment when I'm 18, I fall through, nobody likes you, nobody wants what you have. It's terrible. So it's a very deliberate and ongoing practice of what's working, why does it work, my people love it, and that it's all working. And the other thing that you really helped me see is that the part where it's working, you just don't see. That clients come easily and that the work happens outside of our own awareness. You put up a post and then it's there. And then somebody comes and they read the post and then they think about working with you. And then they look at your website and then they show your website to their spouse and then they think about it. And then they see another post and they think about it and they open up your consultation form and they fill it out and then they close it without submitting it. And then they see another, like all of this is happening and you never see it. You never see any of it. So here you are sitting at home, writing a post, having the thought, it's not working, it's not working. But it could be working. It's all working. You just don't see it.
Yes. I want everybody to just like rewind and listen to that over and over and over, because that really is it. Like that is what you need to know about business is almost everything that leads to a yes from a client is happening on the other side of the screen that you can't see.
Yeah. And you really help me see that clients come easily. You don't have to get a client. You don't have to find a client. You don't go looking for them. They come easily. And every single client I've had, when you helped me land on this idea, I went back through my roster of every client I've ever had. Never once was I chasing somebody down or trying to convince them. In fact, if I did, that person turned into a no. But if I just sort of showed up and I was myself, then they just come and it's
So
easy.
powerful. Yeah, I love that. It's easy and they just come. Like people who aren't in that space yet are going to just feel their mind boggled right now trying to wrap it around this concept that they just come and it's easy. And I think it's so important to think back to like how you described that they're seeing the post and they're thinking and they're clicking and they're reading and they're ruminating. And this is why you have to be consistently putting out the value and the offers to keep kind of nudging them, reminding
Mm-hmm.
them that you exist, creating that desire and letting that kind of build up into something that reaches this like boiling point in them where they have to take action. And unfortunately, I think most people get discouraged and quit before they've created that effect.
Mm-hmm. And our brains are designed for immediate gratification. It's just how it is. I mean, when I first was in private practice as a therapist, I was launching a new office in the Denver area for a private practice that was established in another part of Colorado. And I remember sending an email to all of these potential referral people. And I sent the email and I had the thought, oh my gosh, the emails are going to come pouring in. Like
Yeah.
they're, and then of course, nothing happened. It was crickets. And
Mhm.
I thought, oh my gosh, something's gone wrong. But if you continue to show up, like your popcorn metaphor, whatever, I don't know what episode that is, but people should go listen to it right now.
Yeah.
If you
We'll
just
link it
keep,
in the notes.
okay, perfect. But if you keep showing up consistently, it happens, it works, and it's all working. It's working from the time you put up that first post until, I don't know, a year, 2 years down the line, however long it takes somebody
Mhm.
to see your post, read your post, think about it. Because
Yeah.
I'm a slow to buy person. I mean, you and I met and I followed you. I sort of cyber stalked you.
Yeah. When did you
And
first find me? Because I remember we had a coffee chat, like
mhm.
literally in person, and that was in October. How long had you been aware of me before that?
Oh, hardly at all. Because
Okay.
so you posted something in a Facebook group and it wasn't like an offer. So again, people, you post something, it's valuable or it sparks somebody's interest. And I don't even remember what it was, but you said something. I was like, oh, interesting. Who is she? What does she do? Da, 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 da,
Mhm.
da. And I went to your Facebook page and then I saw that you were local. And so then I think I either sent you a message or I responded to your comment on the thread. And I think I
Yeah.
said something along the lines of, hey, I'm like, I may be a creeper, but I just saw you're local. How fun. I'm in Denver too. And then you said, oh, how fun. Like we should get together. And then we had coffee. And yeah, that was in October.
Yeah. And I remember after I met with you, I got back in the car and I had a notification of somebody who had applied to work with me. And I remember that being such a lesson. And like, I went and like felt like I just gave value to you, connected with
Mm-hmm.
you, no strings attached. And a client came, not you at the time, but this other person who reached out. And I was just thinking, like, this is just the magic of like putting value out and it comes back to you even from
Yes.
a different place. And then how many months went by before you reached out again? Like 5, 6?
I don't, okay. So that was October. I think I reached out to you in February. I think I messaged you and I said, I want to work with you
Mm-hmm.
in February. How
Mm-hmm.
do I do that? Yeah.
Yeah. Now.
Now,
How do I do that now?
how do I do that now? And of course, you had a wait list, and it was fine. And we did the consult, and then we started in May. But I'm a slow to buy person. I'm somebody who I come across somebody, I find them, I think about it, I follow them, I read their stuff. Maybe I interact with, their webinars or whatever, and I think about it. And it's all working. It was working from the moment you responded to my post on that Facebook page. Because you could have said, oh, how nice. Isn't
Mm-hmm.
Colorado great?
Mm-hmm.
Something, and let
Or
it
ignored.
go. Or ignored it. Or just liked it and just let it go.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you chose to interact. And then, yeah, we had this interaction. I felt like I trusted you. And I think I probably from the time that we had coffee, I had the thought, well, if I hired a one-on-one coach, it would be Samantha. So I probably decided
That day at
that
coffee.
day. Yes, I think I decided to hire you then,
Mm-hmm.
but it took me time
Yeah.
to feel like, okay, I want to pull the trigger on it.
This is so good to talk about because I feel like it was maybe in Mama CEO where I saw this a discussion where somebody was like, okay, I understand that I'm not supposed to be trying to convince people, but if they were already a yes, they would have already bought. And I was just like, no,
Mm-mm.
that's not true. And I was trying to think about like, how do I teach that? And you said it so perfectly because you were that client who was already decided and didn't take action for 5 months. So tell me what was going on there so that we can reassure people. Like there are people who are a yes to you right now who haven't bought.
I mean, really, the only thing was just my brain was happening. So it was more of, I should be able to do this on my own. I just need to consume more content. I'm not ready. I need to utilize the resources I have better. There was a lot of that. And I made, oh my gosh, this is going to be horrifying. I want to say from the time that we had that coffee until I hired you, I maybe made $3,000 in the in-between.
Mm-hmm.
I think I maybe had 2 more clients. I think I sold 2 people after that. And before we met, I think I had sold 2 people. So I was just continuing at the same pace that whole time.
Yeah. Thinking, I need to make use of what I have. I can do this on my own. I know a lot of people too. This happens with Mama CEO all the time. People will message me and be like, okay, I'm going to earn the money to join. And I'm like,
No,
that's backwards.
no, don't wait.
It's
Don't wait.
backwards, right?
Yeah.
Like, think about how long is it going to take you to earn that on your own or hit your goal on your own versus get in here and we'll do that really fast and then get on to your actual goal.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not a coincidence that I made $90,000 after May, because when did we started coaching in May?
Yeah. That was the magic thing that shifted.
Yes. And, really, and it was just even fully pulling the trigger on it, because from the time that I got on your wait list to the time where we started coaching is when COVID hit. And my brain went into crazy, crazy drama about the economy and nobody's going to buy coaching. And I had my lowest months during that time. And we've talked about this. My husband had money objections to me buying coaching. He was like, because he's very Mr. Doom and Gloom, especially about money and finances and the economy. And he was like, you're going to spend what on coaching? No, you need to hoard that money. You need to save that money, blah, 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 blah. And I was in all this drama. And then finally, I just was like, no, this is it. This is what I need. If there is an investment that I can make that I'll get a return on, it's my brain. My brain decides all the things. It decides how I spend my money. It decides how I spend my time. It's what makes me money. My brain is my greatest asset. If I'm going to invest in anything, it will be my brain. And so I pulled the trigger, and then boom, first 5-figure month. And then of course I had drama, and you had to coach me on that about my 5-figure month. But it felt like it came out of nowhere. But it's not a coincidence that I decided to make that investment. And then I made it back almost immediately.
Yeah. It is really cool to see when you go all in with an investment with your brain. Like, it's not like spend money and you'll magically make money. Like, I'm never saying that, but taking that action to invest is an action you take from a mindset you are in of being all in and it being non-negotiable for this to work. And then how you show up after you've done that is so different.
Yeah. Everything changed. I felt like everything changed after that.
Yeah. You left your full-time job. You're
Oh my
full-time in your
gosh.
business now.
I know. It's wild how much has changed in the last year. If you had told me that this is where I would be, I would have this was the plan. It was the plan, but I didn't really believe that this was the plan. In fact, when you and I met and you said, what are your revenue goals for 2020? I think I told you 50,000.
Yeah, I think you did.
And then I doubled it.
Nice. So this kind of goes back to that self-doubt idea. When you have a vision or a goal for what you want, but you don't all the way believe it, how do you get there? Like, how do you make it happen? What was your experience with that?
My experience is that, I mean, coaching was just, it was huge. It was key because, first of all, you believed in things before I could believe in them. When I told you I had my first 5-figure month, I spun out. I mean, everybody had said, listen, when you first start making money, there's this success intolerance. And I thought, oh, that's funny. Isn't that cute?
It sounds so ridiculous when you haven't experienced it.
Yeah, I was like, that's not a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I hit 5 figures, I had more panic and anxiety than I had failing. I was much more comfortable with the idea of failing because it was consistent with, hey, this is who I am. I'm the girl who gets rejected from the sororities. People don't like me. You know, this is very uncomfortable, but it's also very familiar. And so it's fine. This is who I am. And so having the success, my brain was like, what? Wait, what's happening? And it was panic. I was panicked. And I think I started crowdsourcing. I was calling people. I was calling friends. I was like, I don't even know what's happening. I had consults. I started sabotaging my consults.
Mm-hmm.
I was having all these thoughts like, I'm not ready. This is happening too quickly. This is out of control. And so you coached me on all of that. And so I think getting coached on that and then having somebody who believes this is where you're going and this is inevitable and this is happening for you. There were so many times where you said things to me like, one thing you said to me was, you're ahead of where I was 2 years ago. And I was like, what? What is that? And then when you said, oh, for sure, you're going to make this amount of money, for sure, this is going to happen. So you had the belief for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then being able to borrow your belief. And then you also kept pushing me to do things I didn't think I could do.
Yeah.
So like when I told you, well, I made these, I made 5 figures. It's never happening again. It's a total fluke. You said, okay, well, let's do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it again next month. And then I had all this drama about it.
Yeah.
And so coaching myself through that. And then when I hit the 50,000 and you said, okay, let's double it. I was like, what? But you were so confident and you were so sure. It gave me space to explore the possibility that it could really happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just felt like I'm looking at a set of facts. You've done it before. You can just keep doing it.
Yeah. But my brain, and this goes back to my brain just being so committed to doubting everything that even the success, it wasn't real evidence. It didn't count.
Oh, yeah. This is like a cycle that I've seen. You don't believe that you can do it, and then you do it, and then you don't believe you can do it again. Like it was a fluke. And then once you've done it a bunch of times, then you have this thought like it's all going to fall apart.
Yes.
Like it's fragile and I'm going to mess it up and it's all going to fall apart and dry up and be totally gone. Like these are like the phases of self-doubt. I feel like for success.
Yeah. And because you and I talked, I remember I said, I'm comfortable with making $3,000 a month. I'm a $3,000 a month coach. I can do that. And you pushed me on that and how, no, I'm a 5-figure a month coach. I did it. That's who I am. And it took me a while, but then I started making that consistently. And now I'm starting to think about, well, what is my ceiling that my brain is creating for me? And offering up the idea that that's 100% optional. And how do I work through that? And really, I think it's the same process just over and over and over. Because right now I'm like, yeah, $10,000 months, that's kind of on the lower end.
Yes.
So, but I'm not sure what my upper limit is. I'm trying to explore that and figure that out.
Well, what was your reaction when I told you, oh, you made 20K in 30 days?
I was surprised. I think I had to go back. You know what? As much as I trust you, I think I had to go back
You're
and
like,
look at
that's
the
wrong.
numbers. I was like, wait, really? So I went and I looked, and then I felt really emotional. I felt really emotional about it. It felt like, what? Look at what I did. And what's interesting is I didn't have the panic that I had in May.
Mhm. Yeah.
The panic was gone, but it was it was like, wow, look what I did. It was really, it was a lot more fun.
Good. So you can just keep doing that.
I can keep doing that. And then even, when I realized I'd made 100K, it was sort of an afterthought. Like I just hadn't noticed.
Mm-hmm. I love it. It went from like my results and success make me panic, and now they're just fun.
Yeah, it's so much more fun, but it's because I've had to work through the identity stuff and who I am and who am I showing up as, because I probably was showing up as a 3K a month coach, which is fine because that's where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And then stepping into being the person who makes 5 figures a month.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to figure out who's next? Who do I get to become next? It's, I guess multiple 6 figures
Yeah.
is what comes next.
That's what comes next. It's pretty great.
I'm excited about it.
Yes. Let's talk about self doubt being something that a lot of people think you have to fight against or get rid of or not have anymore to be successful. Because this is something I
Yeah.
think both of us have really grappled with and ultimately solved in our businesses, like how we want to relate to our doubt. I want you to share a little bit about what that looks like for you.
Yeah. So I think I had a belief for a long time that I needed to feel confident in order to sell. The confidence is an emotion that translates into success. And that just is not the reality, at least for me. And I think for people I work with. I think feeling committed, feeling compelled, feeling curious, all of those feelings translate into success. And you can feel all of those feelings and doubt yourself every step of the way. And it's completely fine. One thing I tend to do, because I have a brain that likes to be really hard on itself, is that not only would I experience self-doubt and have all these thoughts like, I don't know what I'm doing, everybody hates me, this is terrible, this post is terrible, it's all over now, it was nice while it lasted,
Yeah.
that I'm never getting another client or consult ever again. I would have those thoughts, and then I would have judgment about the thoughts, that I should know better. I shouldn't have these thoughts. Negative feelings do not, turn into success, blah, 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 blah. And so it was this vicious cycle, and it just sort of inflamed the negativity and made it into a problem when it didn't need to be a problem. And it's such a
Totally.
waste of energy to spend so much time feeding that monster, feeding those thoughts.
Mhm.
And I know you coached me on that before too. Like there was one day I remember I was walking the dog. Here comes the dog again, right? So I'm walking the dog and I was feeling so sorry for myself. Like it's not working anymore. I'm not going to hit my goals. I'm such a failure, blah, blah, blah. And then I got two notifications. I got 2 consult requests on the walk. It was so, and I thought, what a waste. I wasted all that time. I wasted so much time and energy on all that negativity for what? For what? So it's fine if it happens, but that's not where I want to spend my energy these days. It's just not helpful.
Yeah, I love that. I have a couple of thoughts here. First, the thoughts about confidence. And I think for me, I've really identified confidence as something that is a trait in my super successful clients. But I don't think what I'm saying is different than what you're saying. So I just want to clarify how we define confidence. So the
Yes,
way
I
that you
want to
were
hear what
talking,
you think. I want to, because yes,
okay.
you're all about confidence right now, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
need this. Tell me everything.
Okay. So I think the way that you were describing confidence is like, I believe that I'm going to make so much money. I believe that I'm
Mm,
awesome. I think that I'm so great. And the way that I am talking about confidence throughout this training that I'm doing is really defining confidence as trust in ourselves and how we will respond in any situation.
yes. Yes.
So it's not like the confidence that we're going to achieve all of these big goals or the confidence that we think everyone likes us,
Hmm.
but like a deep knowing that I have my own back.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Because here's where my brain goes as far as, and especially back when I was getting started. I had the thought that I needed to know everything. In fact, the first time somebody said yes on a consultation, I panicked again. Here comes the panic again.
Mhm.
And I started ordering all these self-help books. And I was like, I have to read all of these before our first session because I need to know exactly what I'm doing. I need to have all of the answers. I need to be 100% an expert. And I thought, well, if I have all of this knowledge, then I will know what I'm doing. And then I'll know that I can help. But those were just thoughts. And it was, I didn't need to know everything.
Mhm.
All I needed to know is that I could help, that my services worked, and that no matter what, I would have like you said, I'd have my own back and it would be okay. And I'd land on my feet.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at the very core, for people who are starting out and really struggle with this idea that you can help somebody as you are right now, that
Hmm.
is the confidence you need. Like if you have nothing else,
Yeah.
that belief, I can help somebody as I am right now. They actually need me as I am right now. Like I think about my very first clients that I worked with that probably wouldn't resonate with a lot of what I teach and do now, but who I was then was the perfect coach for them.
Yeah. Yeah. The first people that I had the thought, oh, I'm an imposter. Who they think they're hiring is the me several years from now. And they're only getting this sort of watered down, like generic baby coach, which none of those thoughts were helpful.
Mm-mm.
They were hiring the me right then. And that me right then was enough to help them. In fact, one of those clients is still my client. And he talks about what a transformation he's had, even just right from the get go. So
Yeah.
he hired the me then, and that was all I needed to be. I just needed to be the coach that I was then, the skills that I had then, the knowledge I had then.
Yep.
And then as I've gotten better, my coaching has gotten better, my belief has gotten better, and it's all leveling up.
Yeah. Yeah. And your thoughts about yourself improve or grow or shift too throughout that. But I think that thought that who I am right now is enough to help them is so empowering because when you're afraid that you can't, it is really hard to get clients.
Hmm.
When you're like, I'm an imposter, I'm not good enough, I can't help somebody. Imagine the vibes that you are putting off and imagine
Right.
like what somebody has to go through I feel like it's like this energetic field of negativity and self-doubt that they have to walk through to try to give you money.
Yeah, it's like the negativity and the self-doubt just has to sit next to you. Like, don't put it in front of you. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be this filter that you're making other people do the work on for you. Because that's the other thing is my brain likes to look for external validation. If
Mhm.
somebody is a yes, oh, that means I'm doing a good job. If I get a consultation request, oh, that means I'm doing a good job. Let me get validation from other people all the time to know that I'm doing a good job when I can just decide I'm doing a good job. What I do helps, what I do matters. People want it. And the self doubt can just sit next to me. It doesn't have to be the work. It's not my clients and potential clients' responsibility to walk through that for me.
Yeah. I share fairly often that this thought, when you're feeling helpless, help someone, was like my go-to at the beginning of my business. And I think that it really helped point me in this direction when I did not feel super confident. Like at this time, I was like, it's my greatest aspiration to make 50K a year as a life coach. Because that's all I believed that I was even remotely capable of. Like I was having a lot of struggles, and you can hear it in my voice in the
Mm-hmm.
very first episodes of my podcast. You can hear it I have the very first course I ever created. It's called Quit Talking Shit. It's in Mama CEO, like in the bonuses. Like you can hear that my voice sounds like a 5-year-old's. You can hear that lack of confidence. But because I took the focus off of myself and how I was feeling and looked for how I could help other people, I still managed to start making money because of that shift. Like I didn't have to have endless belief in my capability, only in
Mm-hmm.
my ability to be helpful.
Yeah, and that has worked so well for me too. In fact, whenever I'm doing my thought work, all of my negative thoughts are all about me.
Mm-hmm.
Always. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. They don't like me. I mean, I've probably listed them all over and over on this podcast already because they're not creative. It's always the same stuff. But then when I choose my new thoughts, the thoughts that are helpful, they're always thoughts about who I serve, how I serve them, what they need, how I can help. The only thought that is really about me that creates a shift are thoughts like I can help and this is who I am.
Yeah.
Really, those two thoughts are very powerful and helpful for me because this is who I am is just who I am right then in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's not this is who I need to be, or, this is who I need to be if I'm going to be enough or good enough.
Yeah.
This is just who I am right here in this moment, and it's enough.
I love it. I just keep thinking this podcast episode, people are going to like have this saved and they're going to wish they could just tattoo it on their arm. This is like the medicine everybody needs whenever they're discouraged in business is this episode. One more thing I wanted to point out from what you had said earlier, what is this idea that you'll catch your brain in these places of it was nice while it lasted. I'm never going to sign a client again, which internally I laughed because my brain loves these two thoughts as well. Like, you've had a good run.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It was a
Yeah.
nice run. It's all dried up.
No
That's
one will ever
everybody.
say yes to you again.
Yeah.
So it was really funny that you said those. When your brain offers those up, and then you have this layer of judgment that goes on top of it, like you can't sell when you have negative thoughts and all of
Mm-hmm.
that, like this isn't serving you. But instead of recognizing neutrally this isn't serving you and then letting it go, it's like this aggressive negative judgment. So it's like you already felt negative and now there's like negative candy coating on top.
Yeah.
And that being the first thing to work on, releasing that judgment and just kind of letting the negative stuff hang. Let it be
Yes.
there. It's all right. And I think
Yeah.
that acceptance of, oh, this just means I'm a human and I'm doing something that freaks my brain out
Mm-hmm.
allows it to not get control of you the way that that judgment will.
Yeah. And I think for especially those of us who are in sort of this self-improvement sphere and sort of this mental well-being kind of arena, we're already bombarded with thoughts about like positive vibes only. I mean, I think you can buy the t-shirt at Target.
Yeah.
That if you are not having positive thoughts, that something has gone wrong and you need to fix it. And it just creates so much more pressure. And I've learned that if I'm trying to just deal with it in my brain, it never works. I have to get it out. I need to get coached. I need to write it down. I have to get it out where I can see it and observe it and then work through it. Because if
Mhm.
it's just in my brain, even with all of the knowledge I have, my brain still thinks it's a fact. It thinks it's a fact until it can see it. And then it can look objectively and think, oh, well, that's kind of silly. Like one of my objections to doing this podcast is that my voice is nasally and people and that nobody wants to hear my voice and they will like turn off the podcast. And when I wrote it down and I saw it, I thought it was hilarious.
Yes. This was also on my thought download when I started this podcast in 2018. My
Is
voice
that
is terrible. It's nasally. No one wants it. It's a bad voice.
it's a bad voice. You have a delightful voice.
That's what everyone tells me, and I believe it now
Yeah.
after just deciding that it's
Yeah.
true. Because why not?
Why not? But you can't decide new things until you know what you're already thinking and believing.
Yes. Yeah. And you have to work through it. Otherwise, you're just trying to like slap on something pretty over a belief that isn't.
Right. It's like Febrezing your house
Mm-hmm.
when your dog has had an accident on the floor. I'm using a lot of like my dog's getting a lot of
People are gonna
airtime
love
today.
this.
Still going to be there.
Yes. All right. Any last thoughts that you haven't shared yet?
Yeah, I think just you really have to see your thoughts that you can still sell. You can still sell. You can still make money. You can be successful even with self-doubt. And I think self-doubt is really only a problem in maybe one of two circumstances. I'm probably missing some, but this is how it shows up for me. Either one, I believe it 100% and I just go for a ride with those thoughts. And two, if I make them a problem. If I'm not doing those two things and I'm continuing to show up, everything's fine. It works out.
I love that. So good.
Yay. Thank you for validating me. You know, I love validation.
Yes. Okay. People listening are going to want to hire you. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, I need a life coach. This is how I felt. Like when I wanted to hire a life coach, I was like, where are like really high level general life coaches? Why are they so hard to find? Everybody who's making an over 100K, I felt like had a niche that I was seeing. And I was like, where are the high earning, no niche life coaches? And you are one of them, at least for now.
At least for now.
So there are going to be people very excited about this. Where can they find you? How can they hire you?
Yeah. So my website it's just my name, ericahanlon.com. Yeah. And I'm on Instagram, Erica Hanlon Coaching. Come find me. Let's be friends.
All right. Thank you. If you like this podcast, I want to invite you to coach with me over in my program, Mama to CEO. There's you, and there's the consistent income you want to make in your business, and I help you remove everything standing in between. It's lifetime access for mastering your marketing, sales, time, and everything else you need to have the business and life you really want. Whether it's making your first 1,000 or 100,000, I can help you do it. To join, go to mamatoceo.com, mamatoceo.com.